Hey, welcome Broken World Entertainment and review of episode 5 for Fubar. This episode is called Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, and you'll see why later. So this episode picks up where last episode ended, with Dane on the run. Barry's getting nervous now because time's running out in prison before the roll call kicks in, even though it's random. So Luke and Emma are going to try and find the nuclear reactor, while Roland and Ro are going to look for the Dane. So Luke and Emma leave to find the nuke, which is being tracked by Tina. She is looking for the slightest of radiation spike, basically. And while Roland and Rue are in the hotel room, or safe house room, getting ready to go find the Dane just walks in. He walks back in. He went and bought a teddy for his son because he says it's the only place he can get a teddy outside of a Turkish prison that doesn't have a glory hole in the bottom of it. So Emma and Luke arrive to this warehouse where it's basically like a chop shop, but with everything. There's cars, there's weapons, there's everything. The two of them go in, they kick everyone's ass. Literally, they kick everyone's ass. But they now know they have to get the Dane back to prison to get Barry out. So they have no one to use to meet Borrow, but they need someone like Borrow, and they were going to use Alden, but they're like, we can't, he just looks nothing like him. So if everyone that Luke and Emma killed, which are the two guys who stole the van, by the way, the two guys hadn't a clue what the mini reactor was. They were like, it was like the True Lies thing, just that they actually didn't know what it was. It's a snow cone maker, it's an espresso machine. Only they were like, maybe it's a heater. One of them is still alive and looks like the Dane, so they have an idea. They do get the Dane back into prison just in time to get Barry out, because the roll call ended up being at that cell and Barry had to fight with the guard, who falls and hits his head off of the sink, and he starts kicking the leg, see if he's alive, and the Dane is on the other side of the wall, and he says, yeah, don't kick with the dead, it's creepy. And he's like, oh, he is dead? And he's like, don't worry, nobody's gonna miss what did he call him? Constantine? Cavity Search Constantine, I think it was. So the meet happens with Alden being the kind of front man for the Dane, while they have the other guy up at the back who doesn't talk. And when Burrow's like, why is he up there and stuff, he's like, their excuse for pushing the meat was that he thinks the reactor leaked and he could be infected. And it all goes wrong when the guy who's playing the Dane starts bleeding out and collapses, and Borrow tells his men not to open the box with the reactor. But as they do, these darts come shooting out and gets one of them, misses one, and scratches Borrow on the face. Luke and Emma chase down Borrow while Alden is fighting the guy who the arrow missed. He's struggling to beat him, and all of a sudden the dude gets shot as he's about to kill Alden. And it was the woman who Alden was constantly talking about in the last episode that he was paranoid about, Diana. And it's the one and only shot we get of her. Burrow collapses when they're chasing him, and it turns out they put a sleeper agent in the darts because they need him alive to try and get where the buyers are. So on the flight home, Luke tells Barry that he's proud of him and has another conversation with Emma about marrying Carter. So while all this is happening as well, Tally had got a phone call saying, actually this could be in the other episode, but she got a phone call where she says, yes, I can come right away. So Arnold's coming back to the house. Luke, I should say, is coming back to the house. He's on a call with his superior, and she's saying to him, like, you know, what were you doing giving your ex-wife a job? And he's like, don't worry, it's all good. But Tally opens the door and says, we need to talk. And he thinks, uh-oh. And turns out the granddaughter, Romy, is sick. She has leukemia, and she's having side effects to the what the bloody hell call it? Brain fart here. Radiation therapy, basically. So she needs bone marrow. And Emma and Luke track down her biological father, because Oscar is not Romy's biological father, and this guy's name is Kyle. So they're going to test his DNA by having Barry take his straw. Then we go to the offices where they're having a meeting about Burrow and how they're going to get the information. And they say, we're going to have to use enhanced interrogation tactics, i.e. torture. Luke is against it. Alden is against it. Barry is against it. But Rue and Emma are up for it. The person who's going to do the interrogation, the torture, is Tom Arnold. And his character is called Carlson. I think it's Marvin Carlson. And when we meet him, he's walking up to a guy in a parking lot at some sort of grocery store or something. And he's like, excuse me, but your shopping trolley dinged in my car. And the guy he's talking to was like a built dude. The dude's like, and he goes, I'm just, you dinged my car. And the guy starts giving him attitude, and he goes, oh, this really butters my biscuit or creams my corn. And he just swings the bag around, cracks the dude in the nuts, knocks him out, walks across, gets the phone call that he's been needed for the job, which he's excited about, because he's like, I've just stocked up on new stuff, and throws the trolley at the dude. So Luke and Emma go and interrogate Burrow, and Luke basically says, look, they're bringing this guy in to torture you, and I'm trying to stop it. And Emma's like, I'm all for it. I don't care what they do to get it from you. And he wants a crazy deal, like to be sent to Bora Bora for house arrest and all this crap. And they're like, yeah, no. Then we go back to the house. The family are there. Luke, Emma, Oscar, Barry and Tally. Donnie arrives, but Luke runs him off because Kyle is coming over to basically give his terms for giving up the bone marrow. And of course he wants money. And he doesn't just want some money. He wants $150,000. And that's what he tells them. That's their option. So he leaves with that being the option for them. Carlson's about to start interrogating um, what's his name, Borrow, before he gets called out, he's told to stop, and they're going to make a deal. The CIA are going to make a deal with Borrow. Well, at the same time, they're trying to figure out how they're going to get money to pay off Kyle. Tally thinks Luke is going to sell his boat, but he's like, that wouldn't cover that amount, and it could take months. He asked, could they get a second mortgage? She says they've already done that. And he remembers that he gave Romy one of the uncut diamonds. So he gets that and he offers it to Kyle. And while he's saying all this to Kyle in the car, in Kyle's car, Barry comes up and sticks a tracker on. And Luke again tries to have a conversation with what's his name, Borrow. And the only way the deal could work is Borrow needs to put a video out for potential buyers who will send ice cube emojis to say everything is cool. And then he'll give up all their areas, like where these people are, that you'll start getting all their information. But they can't do it at the HQ, so they're going to have to take them out somewhere kind of in the middle of nowhere, because they need to activate the case so the buyers can actually see that the case is there. Emma wants to come on this mission. Luke tells her no, that she's kind of not in the right headspace because of Romy. So they go, they make the video and they put it online. Emma phones and says, oh, by the way, Emma and Alden track down or find out that Kyle has done a runner again. He's taken the diamond and he's run. So of course they have the tracker. So they find him back at the bar where they met him the first time. So Emma and Alden come up to him, and he's just a piece of crap. He's like, yeah, I don't have to do anything. She's like, well, what about stealing the diamond? He's like, possession is 9/10 of the law. And they're trying to convince him to come, and she tells him, well, unfortunately, what's going to happen to you now, you should have gone to the hospital, because, and she says, I'm going to hit you in the Adam's apple and your head is going to drop, which is going to make people think you're on a drunk breakup bender. In 10 seconds you're going to be booted the car, and I'm going to hit you in 2 seconds. And he's all, yeah, and of course she does it. They bundle him into the back of the car. Luke, they phone Luke and say, look, we're going to get him a personal trainer at Mary's Fitness, i.e. we're going to get Carlson in, torture him. Well, not to torture him, but to get the bone marrow from him. And Luke says, look, it's your choice. And he phones headquarters and asks the boss, turn a blind eye, to which he does. But the two twin fitness dudes are going to break into Mary's Fitness to try and get their books and bring it to the council. And right as they're about to go, Alden and Emma pull up in the car, and they record them taking Kyle out. So Kyle's tied up. They bring in Carlson, and Carlson is extracting in an incredibly painful way out of the knee of Kyle, and Emma's standing right there. And it was said earlier, when Emma was all pushing for the torture, Luke said it's, torture's a completely different thing when you see it 5 feet away from your face. And now it's happening beside her. While this is happening, Borrow's thing was all a setup, and his people arrive, shoot up the place, and he escapes. But he doesn't just escape, he escapes with the case. So the mission was a fail. Luke goes to the hospital and he sees Emma kissing Alden. She starts getting feelings for him. He comes in and Carter has a talk with Carter and says, like, you have to fight for him. And the episode ends with Tally receiving the video and then asking Luke, how did you convince Kyle to do this? I thought we didn't have the money. And Luke says, and she's just watched the video of him being dragged into Mary's fitness, and Luke says, we didn't pay him, I changed his mind. And that's where the episode ends. So Burroughs escaped, and they used torture basically to get bone marrow for Romy, the granddaughter, who is now getting better because of it. Another good episode. There are quite a few funny parts in this one, especially with Tom Arnold. Everything with him is like, let's get those slacks off. It's weird, and he's meant to be proper creepy. So yeah, definitely worth it. The only unfortunate thing is there was no scenes with him and Arnold together. Obviously, that would be in True Lies. That's the only downside to it. But other than that, another good episode. So with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.